Welcome back to the Integrative Therapist, the space where we explore the intersection of nervous system wisdom, emotional healing, and self remembrance. I'm your host, Julia, holistic therapist. I'm here to walk alongside you through the seasons of your inner and outer world. In each episode, we'll explore practices and perspectives that invite you back home to your body, your intuition, and your calm center, so you can live and lead from a grounded, compassionate place. A gentle reminder: the reflections and practices shared in this podcast are for educational and self help purposes only. They are not a substitute for therapy, counseling, or medical care. I want to honor that each person's journey is unique, so please take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and reach out for professional support if you need it. You are not alone. So let's take a moment to acknowledge the ground that we've covered so far. In our last episode, we explored the radical act of reclaiming rest, learning to slow down, soften urgency, and rebuild trust within our nervous system. We talked about how rest isn't a luxury, but a form of repair, a quiet return to ourselves. Today, we're moving with that same spirit of gentleness into a new rhythm, one of change and transition. Because just like nature, we move through seasons of expansion, contraction, release, and renewal. But even natural change can stir discomfort. Our minds crave predictability, while our bodies sense the unfamiliar as a threat. So, in this episode, we'll explore how to move through those in between spaces with more ease, compassion, and trust, learning to flow with life's rhythms rather than fight against them. So, in today's episode, we're going to explore why change and transition can often feel destabilizing for the nervous system, and how to realign your daily rhythms to match the season you're in, both internally and externally. We'll take a look at ways to use environmental and sensory cues as anchors for safety. And we'll close off with providing gentle mindset shifts to help you embrace the in between rather than rush through it. So settle in, let's begin. So before we dive in, let's take a moment to arrive in this space. Feel your feet on the floor or the support beneath you. Take a slow breath in through your nose and a long, unhurried exhale out through your mouth. Let your body settle into this moment and give yourself space to arrive. Notice the season around you, the light, the air, the sounds, the transitions unfolding. And be curious if there's a part of you that's already shifting. Perhaps you're craving slower mornings, softer routines, or more quiet time for yourself. Give yourself a moment and choose an affirmation that belongs to you. Perhaps you can whisper to yourself, "I am allowed to change with the seasons. My rhythm doesn't have to stay the same." Take another inhale in, exhale out, letting go, and let's begin. So let's begin here with why seasonal transitions can often feel so unsettling for us. As the days shorten and our environment shifts, our nervous system begins receiving new sensory cues, changes in daylight, temperature, social rhythms, and routines. And from a neuroscience perspective, these seasonal shifts activate the brain's prediction center. This is a part that is wired for safety through familiar settings and familiar scenarios and situations, that kind of sweet spot we call our comfort zone. And when life begins to look or feel different, when shifts and transitions begin to happen, the brain can then interpret this as a potential threat. In the language of the polyvagal theory, this process is known as neuroception, the body's subconscious way of scanning for safety or danger. So when the familiar fades, whether it's summer brightness, social rhythms, or even how the air feels against our skin, our system momentarily loses its sense of grounding, searching for new cues that say, okay, it's safe to settle here. This is also where the circadian rhythm, the body's internal clock, begins to readjust. So it's more than just a sleep-wake cycle. This rhythm influences our energy, our mood, our digestion, and even our emotional balance. So as daylight decreases, our exposure to that morning light often lessens too. This delays the brain's release of cortisol. That's a hormone that helps us wake and focus. Meanwhile, melatonin production begins earlier in the evening, and this signals the body to slow down. So this shift can make mornings feel heavier and motivation feel harder to access, even when we're trying to keep the same pace. When we resist these natural changes, pushing ourselves to perform at a summer rhythm in an autumn body, it often can become easy to feel off balance. Fatigue, irritability, and restlessness may simply be your system's way of saying, hey, I need some time to realign with the light and all the seasonal transitions. This isn't weakness, my friends. This is just pure biology at play. Your body is doing what it's designed to do. It's recalibrating to new sensory data, syncing with the changing light, and finding its way back to regulation. So when we begin to honor these shifts rather than resist them, something remarkable happens. The body starts to trust again. Our nervous system thrives on rhythm, on predictable cycles of movement and rest, light and dark, effort and release. And when we attune our daily patterns to nature's timing and to the seasonal transitions, we're not just creating balance, we're sending constant cues of safety to our nervous system and our body. From a psychological perspective, this mirrors what researchers in self-regulation call entrainment, the natural synchronization that occurs when our internal rhythms align with our external ones. So morning light exposure, consistent meal times, and gently daily routines act as anchors for this process, grounding both our body and our mind in stability. In the polyvagal theory, this sense of predictability supports what Dr. Stephen Porges describes as ventral vagal regulation. So this is a state of calm engagement. This is a place that allows us to connect, to digest, and to restore. The more rhythm our days have, the more the body interprets life as safe. So even subtle shifts, a morning stretch, a mindful meal, a few breaths at dusk, can help recalibrate your nervous system through neuroplasticity. That's a gentle reteaching the brain that safety exists even in stillness and in slow transitions. When we view our daily choices as a dialogue with the body rather than demand upon it, regulation becomes less about control and more about relationship. So just as nature reorganizes itself each season, so can we. Some small mindful adjustments can help your body synchronize with its new environment. So maybe that could look like shifting your wake and sleep times gently by 10 or 15 minutes just to follow that morning light. Perhaps rebalancing meal rhythms with more grounding foods like root vegetables, soups, and teas. Even introducing micro rituals, So 5-minute pauses between work blocks or gentle stretching before evening routines. Each of these small acts can become a nervous system message that says, change is safe. I can flow with it. Another way to regulate our system is to pay attention to our surroundings, as they're not just backdrops, they're actually co regulators. The nervous system constantly takes in subtle cues from the world around us: the temperature of the air, the tone of the light, the texture of sound. These sensory signals shape how safe, how calm, or how alert we feel at any given moment. In environmental psychology, this is often called affordance. It's the idea that our environment offers emotional and behavioral invitations. The soft glow of the autumn light invites slowing down. Perhaps a scent of rain might cue introspection or reflection. And when we learn to notice and honor these signals, we begin to regulate not through effort, but through relationship. Maybe notice how the autumn light changes, how it becomes golden and slower and more spacious. Perhaps let that shift be permission for you to soften your own pace. That might look like taking a short walk among falling leaves, noticing the sounds beneath your feet, wrapping yourself in a cozy blanket or a sweater and feel how your body settles into that warmth. Even opening a window in the morning and letting the crisp air hit your nostrils and breathing that in, a reminder that each breath is a quiet renewal into the seasonal change. These small rituals act as somatic anchors, and they ground you in the present moment through a sensory experience. They strengthen what's known as your interoceptive awareness. That's your body's ability to sense its internal state and to communicate to the nervous system that it's safe to rest, safe to release, and safe to belong here. Seasonal rituals aren't about productivity. They're about attunement. They remind the body that you're a part of nature, not separate from it. As you attune to your environment in this way, your body begins to mirror the Earth's rhythm, expanding and contracting, releasing and restoring, until you remember that regulation isn't something you force, it's something you return to. It's common to feel your energy dip as you settle into these new seasonal rhythms. The shorter days, slower pace, and shifting routines aren't problems to fix. They're simply invitations for your body to recalibrate. So as we move through transition, the brain's prediction center, the same one that seeks familiar and safety, it just hasn't caught up to these new patterns yet. This lag can create what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. It's that inner tug between what you think you should be doing and what your body is asking for. So instead of resisting, try reframing these moments as integration periods, pauses where your nervous system is absorbing change and rewriting its internal map. A few mindset shifts and gentle cognitive hacks that might help you through this transition. The first one is, let's reframe fatigue as feedback. So fatigue isn't a flaw. It's your body communicating that it's processing change and it's adjusting to its internal rhythm, or simply asking you for a pause. So take a moment and ask yourself, what is my body readjusting to right now in this season? That small question shifts you from frustration to curiosity. It's a core principle of self-compassion. It invites you to listen rather than push, honoring that fatigue is a messenger and not a malfunction. The next is to lower the bar to meet your energy. So instead of asking your body to keep up with unrealistic expectations, try meeting yourself where you are. Energy naturally ebbs and flows. It's not a flaw, it's rhythm. Replace perfection with presence. So when you allow your capacity to shift with the season, you create safety for your nervous system to regulate rather than to perform. Your worth isn't measured by output or productivity, but by how aligned your actions feel with what your body and mind truly need in this moment. This isn't lowering your standards. It's practicing self-attunement. It's saying I can still move forward, just at a pace that honors my current energy. Next is to practice micro-success thinking. So small wins like making the bed, drinking water, even pausing to take a breath, they give your brain a dopamine nudge, rebuilding momentum and motivation. And another one, anchor your focus in self-talk that affirms adaptability. So your inner dialogue is a powerful regulator. Each thought can either amplify threat or affirm safety. When you whisper to yourself, my pace is still progress, I can move slowly and still move forward. Change is integration, not interruption. These simple cues can send safety signs to your nervous system, and these words become regulation. Language becomes medicine in this time of transition. Another way is to use gentle movement as a reset, not as a demand. Your body doesn't need to be pushed to feel safe. It just needs to be met where it's at. So that could look like light walking, stretching, or even yoga. This just invites that vagal break, the body's built-in mechanism for slowing and soothing. These movements tell your system, you're safe now, you can soften into the season. Even 5 mindful minutes of movement can shift you from overdrive into presence. And finally, reflecting instead of reacting. So when discomfort arises, the mind often looks for control, but reflection creates space for awareness. Taking a moment to pause and ask, what season am I in internally? And what feels ready to be released? Writing your reflection also helps the brain integrate emotional experience into a narrative, transforming chaos into clarity. This is self-regulation through storytelling, and it gently teaches a body that slowing down in this seasonal shift can feel safe. So next we move on to seasonal self-care mapping. And as you begin to recognize these patterns, the shifts in energy, the call to slow down, the subtle resistance to change, you start to see that nothing within you needs fixing. Your body isn't falling behind, it's simply finding a new rhythm. Once we begin to honor that rhythm, we can work with it instead of against it. This is where seasonal self-care mapping comes in. It's an intentional way to support the nervous system through awareness, choice, and alignment. It's how we turn mindfulness into movement, mapping the inner seasons of our life to the outer ones of the world around us. Each season asks for something different of us, energetically and emotionally. Taking a look at spring, it often invites awakenings and new beginnings, a gentle stirring of hope and momentum. It's often the season of emergence, where ideas begin to take root and energy slowly rises after dormancy. In the body, spring can feel like soft activation, the impulse to move, to stretch, to grow. It's a time to plant intentions, to reconnect with curiosity, and to give yourself permission to begin again, even if it's imperfect or uncertain. Next, we move into summer. This encourages expansion, expression, and play. It's often when we open our hearts to connection, to joy, and to vitality. The warmth of this season invites movement outward into creativity, relationships, and bold expression. It's a time to celebrate what's flourishing, to feel alive in your body, and to let pleasure be a part of your healing. But even in the brightness, balance is found in remembering to pause, to savor, and to rest in between the full bloom of your days. Next, we move into autumn, where we're at right now. This season invites reflection and clarity. It's a shedding season. It reminds us to release what no longer serves us, creating space for what's next. Like the trees, we too are asked to let go of what has run its course, whether that's habits, commitments, or thought patterns that feel too heavy to carry forward with us. It's a time of discernment and recalibration, of slowing down enough to hear your intuition again. In the nervous system, autumn mirrors exhale, a gentle unwinding that prepares the body for rest and for renewal. And then we slowly transition into the season of winter. This often offers deep restoration and introspection, an invitation to turn inward, to rest, and to restore what's been depleted. It's a body's season of repair, when quiet becomes sacred and stillness becomes medicine. In this space, healing often happens beneath the surface. Winter asks us to trust the unseen, to honor rest not as inactivity, but as a foundation for what will eventually bloom again. When we learn to live in harmony with these natural cycles, we begin to see that self-care is not a one-size-fits-all. It's a seasonal, rhythmic, and it's very responsive. By tailoring your self-care toolkit to match the season, adjusting your movement, nourishment, rest, and focus, you honor the body's innate intelligence rather than forcing it to exist in a perpetual summer mode that's just not realistic and accessible. This isn't about doing more, it's about doing what aligns with us. So ask yourself currently, what am I ready to release? What needs warmth and tending to as I enter into this new season? And where is my body asking for gentleness right now? In psychology, this kind of reflection adaptation supports our self-regulation and our ability to meet change with awareness instead of reactivity. From a somatic lens, it's a practice of listening to your body cues and aligning your care accordingly. Every season brings its own wisdom, its own medicine, and when you map your routines, your rituals, and your reflections to that rhythm, you create harmony between your inner and outer worlds. So while we're talking about this, I want to share something I've been quietly creating behind the scenes. It's called the Seasonal Self-Care Mapping Toolkit. It's a gentle guide designed to help you map your own rhythms to the seasons of your life. And inside you'll find journaling prompts, somatic practices, reflective exercises, all to help you stay grounded and in tune with your body as the world shifts around you. It's still in the works and I'm putting the finishing touches on it, but very excited and ready to release it in a few weeks. So if this episode resonated with you, keep an eye out on my website, www.theintegrativetherapist.ca, and follow me on my socials. I'll be sharing updates there soon. I can't wait for you to explore it when it's ready. It's truly been a labor of love, an invitation to slow down, listen inward, and honor the rhythm you're in. So as we close off today, I invite you to take a slow breath in and feel the ground beneath you, steady, supportive, and unchanged beneath all the movement above. Remember that each season carries its own medicine, its own rhythm of rest, release, and renewal. So take a moment to notice the season around you, the light, the air, the texture, the sounds, the pace of things, and ask yourself, what season am I in within myself? Maybe you're in a time of softening, or perhaps a quiet rebuilding. Maybe you're learning to release, to rest, or just to begin again. Whatever it is, trust that you're exactly where you're meant to be in your cycle of becoming. Change isn't something to brace against, it's something to move with. When we align with nature's rhythm, we stop fighting time and we start flowing with it. This is a medicine of seasonal living. To remember that transition is not chaos, it's choreography. Until next time, may you trust your timing, honor your seasons, and return home to yourself again and again. So before we close completely, I want to give you a little glimpse of what's coming next. Many of us start to feel that subtle pull as we move into December, the mix of excitement, pressure, and exhaustion that often accompanies the holidays. It's a time filled with connection and meaning, but also with expectation, overstimulation, and emotional fatigue. So in our next episode, we'll be exploring holiday fatigue and how to navigate boundaries, expectations, and the emotional overload with grace and self-trust. We'll talk about why this time of year can feel both beautiful and draining at the same time, and how to create small pockets of peace and presence amidst the noise. Because the holidays don't have to be about pushing through, they can also be about returning to yourself. So I'm excited to see you there. Take care. Embrace the seasonal transitions with care, Julie.